Jen, you want to go ahead and count us down? We haven't done that in a while.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
We're here back at the Snake Pit with Dan.
What's up?
The man. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing all right. Hopefully we're not interrupted by some goddamn ambulances and whatever, but
Fire trucks.
yeah,
and
it was like, you missed it. It was like a whole brigade of,
Oh, really?
it was loud. We were like, what the hell? But we're here, dude. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, man.
Kind of give us a little backstory on who you are.
Okay. I'm a musician. I play in the band Indigo. I also have the side project Loafy. It's kind of like my solo stuff that we just recently started playing as a full band. During the day, I'm a counselor at a addiction treatment center. I recently graduated from tech. I'm starting grad school in the fall. So I'm a little bit of a crackpot videographer, photographer, stuff like that. So
you're in it, man.
I'm in it.
And all of that. All right, dude,
I have too many fucking hobbies and they're all expensive.
Oh shit! All right, well let's talk about the band Indigo.
Yeah.
How long has that been around? How long is?
So we started Indigo, I think in 2015. So Tanner, the bass player, me and him grew up together, and we actually moved here together in 2012 to go to school and go to South Plains and stuff. And we played in a band called Deep Creek. That fell apart. We started a couple other little projects, and then eventually the beginnings of Indigo kind of started. And then we had a different drummer then, and then Harvey joined the band probably about 6 months after we kind of started it. So it's been me, Tanner, and Harvey for 7 years, 8 years, something like that. So
Where are you from?
I'm from Snyder.
Oh, I thought you were like, that's not that far.
Nah, yeah, I'm from West Texas. Yeah,
Basically the same region and all of that.
but way worse. You know,
Oh.
people complain about Lubbock, and I'm like, dude, you don't know how good you got it. You have stuff to do here. You know,
Shit. I mean,
better than Snyder. Snyder, all there is like teen pregnancy and meth. Like that's all there is.
I couldn't imagine, Jesus. So
Go Tigers.
There you go. Well,
So what is the music for you? How long ago did you start? When did you start?
So I come from a musical family. I grew up, watching my dad play. I grew up playing with him in church. He was like the praise leader of our church. And so I grew up playing bass for him. So I've been playing instruments since I was like 11, 12. And then at 13, I started picking up guitar, and I started playing in bands when I was like 13, 14, 15. So I've been playing live music since I was, 12, 13. So
Is it still the same every time you get on stage? Do you get nervous?
no, not really.
not
I'll tell you what. We can jump into this a little more, but I never realized that I would get anxious until I got sober. And then the first time I played sober, I was like leg shaking, like what the fuck? This has never happened before. But now it's not a big thing anymore. I've like kind of gotten through that now. It doesn't really affect me. Now I'm like, I guess a little more confident. I don't know. Being a little older now, I'm like, I know what I'm capable of, I guess I should say.
There you go. So you had to get over that hump.
Yeah. So,
You want to talk? Can we talk about your
we can talk about
journey
anything.
with sobriety
Yeah,
and all
sure,
that?
man.
So what was were you drinking, boozing, drugs?
No, I'm a IV, heroin, and cocaine guy.
Holy shit.
So I'm the real deal. Yeah.
You were shooting it up.
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. So how do you get into that?
Right. So, I started, I'm 30, right? So when I was in high school, that's kind of when the oxy thing started really bad, right? It was everywhere. And so I should backtrack a little bit. That wasn't the first opiate I took. I think somebody gave me a hydrocodone one time, at one point. And then at some point in high school, somebody, gave me an oxy, and that's kind of where it started. And then I, did opiates just on and off for a long time. And then in about, let me think, it would have been, I moved here in 2012. So like I got sober in 2017. So like 2015 is when I started doing like harder stuff, like started doing tar and all this. I'm kind of being a little too graphic. Let me know if it's too much.
No, we don't give a fuck.
So, I'll tell you what happened. I went on a 150-day run of doing oxy every day, all day. And then it ran out, like the plug ran out. And she was like, I got this other shit. I was like, oh. And so that's when I tried heroin. And then I was on heroin. I was only on heroin like 2 years. So I'm not that crazy, But it got pretty bad. I was an IV user.
Was it straight to the IV?
No, I smoked it for a while. I smoked it off a dab nail for like a year, foily and all that shit. And then
Shit.
yeah. And then at some point I graduated. Yeah. So yeah.
So
we're like 5 minutes in, and I'm getting gnarly with it.
So is your progress into like because I remember in high school, take this pill.
Right.
Was it as that simple?
Pretty much.
Just like you were
dude,
just trying to have fun.
Yeah, I was like the party kid in high school. You know, like I sold weed in high school. I always like knew where parties were at. Like I was that guy, you know what I mean? And then it just kind of graduated. But like I never did like coke or anything. Like I just did like ecstasy and like opioids and weed in high school and psychedelics. Like I didn't even really drink that much. Like I don't even never really liked alcohol that much. Like I did some, you know, but I was just a drug guy. I just liked drugs, you know? And so just kind of experimenting, and then it kind of graduated at some point, you know?
Now, when you're doing these hard drugs,
Yeah.
do you have money to pay for it? Or are you resorting to some crazy things?
Oh, there at the end, yeah. I mean, I was a fucking scumbag there at the end.
Is it expensive? Could you
Yeah,
say that
yeah,
word?
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, very easily, you know, $100 a gram or more, you know.
Holy
so-
shit.
Jesus.
around here, at least. I'm sure you could probably get it cheaper elsewhere, but you know.
Don't do it, people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
do it. Yeah, don't do it. You know, ruin my life. So, but my life's good now. So, you know, getting sober was I think about it like this. The addiction part of it was the worst thing that ever happened in my life, right? But out of that came so many beautiful things. I mean, I got a scholarship to go back to school. I have a career now as a counselor. I get to use my past to help other people who are like me, you know? And so it's like, it's just like this weird dichotomy of like a really terrible thing that happened that like led to some really awesome shit, you know? Like the last 6 years of my life have been beautiful. Like I've experienced so many good things. The stuff I've gotten to do with music, the relationships I have with people, my family, like life's good, you know? So it's like this terrible thing happened, but so much good came from it. So it's like I can sit here and be like, oh, I was, you know, life was so shitty back then, but it's also like something really cool came out of it. And I kind of try to carry that with me when challenges happen in life a little bit, you know what I mean? Because I think that's true for most people. Like terrible phases of our lives kind of lead to some better shit eventually, right?
Do you kind of think of it as like all the things that you did and went through just kind of had to happen in order for you to like find your calling?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think it had to happen for my calling, but it also had to happen for me spiritually,
growth?
mentally, emotionally. Yeah, absolutely. Like I can't imagine the person I would be today if some of that stuff hadn't happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's some extreme stuff, though.
Yeah, dude. And I never, you know, I come from a family like my dad had drug problems, you know, back in the 80s and stuff, and then he got clean and he got super religious. So I grew up in the church. So I grew up always hearing, you know, be careful of drugs. And my dad fought me tooth and nail once I even just started smoking weed, you know, and I never wanted to be that person. I actually was running from it. There's actually this line in I think it's Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan's song where he says, "It's funny how we turn into the very thing we're running from." And I've always like kind of realized that. Yeah, you know, like I didn't want to be that person, and that's who I became. You know, but things are good now. So,
do you do anything like? Do you do psychedelics now, or
No,
you're stone cold?
just straight sober.
Do you drink coffee?
I do drink coffee.
Okay.
I'm drinking a Rebel right now.
Yeah,
So
okay.
caffeine and nicotine, that's really all I got, you know. But I'm not anti substances or anti psychedelics or any of that. I'm actually really interested in some of the therapeutic stuff that's happening with psychedelics, ketamine, LSD, you know. That stuff's really interests me because there's like a lot of research that shows in the addiction area too, like that's really beneficial. So I've thought, you know, obviously in Texas, I don't know if that's going to be reality anytime soon, but it'd be cool to do that, you know, in my career, to be a psychedelic therapist to help people. You know, it's interesting, but
Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think they do ketamine here.
they do.
In Texas.
We have a clinic here in Lubbock.
Okay.
What does ketamine do?
So ketamine's
What
just
is ketamine?
it's a
tranquilizer.
It's like a horse tranquilizer is what people call it, but it's when we take it, when humans take it, it's a psychedelic.
When
And so-
Bella fucked up her leg, they gave her ketamine. It's like a disassociate.
Bella?
That's the word.
Disassociate,
So you
yeah,
don't feel
absolutely.
the pain, I guess. Or
I've known a handful of people that have gone through ketamine therapy, and it lasts like an hour, and you sit there with a therapist and you have something that you're like a goal or a target you're working on, and you fucking go into a trip, and then they talk to you, they ask you questions, they you know, and then you come out of it. And
I think I would do it like that.
That might be the only way I could.
Just have a
Go
licensed
like
guy.
that.
Don't fucking do it at home.
Yeah, you don't. Kids don't do it at home. But it actually, there's a bunch of research that shows that it's really effective for treatment-resistant depression. So if you have depression and SSRIs and other medications don't really work very well, ketamine shows that it helps a lot. And so I've known a few people that have gone through that and it's helped them. I've known people that have had some issues with substances and have gone through that, and now they're able to, you know, they're okay, you know. So it's interesting. I mean, yeah, there's something to it, I think.
So how do you get off of it? How'd you get off the drugs? How'd you get sober?
Man, I feel like I kind of lucked out. So 2017, I'm like at the rock bottom, right? I mean, I'm living with the girl I've been with for 5 years. I mean, dude, I'm a fucking scumbag, and I've done everything I can to fix it and make it right with her and other people in my life, making amends and all that, working the steps. But there at the end, I was stealing from her, I was stealing from family, I was selling weed and I was ripping people off. I was doing all kinds of terrible shit just to feed my habit, pawning shit, And so finally, she kind of gets all my family on board to send me to treatment. So they find a place in California and they send me there. Insurance is supposed to cover it. I get there and they tell me like insurance is not going to cover this. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I for some lucky reason, I got scholarship through the program for 60 days. So, and I've been sober ever since, which is, I'm kind of a enigma in that sense. Not that many people, it takes a lot of people, a lot of tries. And I've been fortunate enough that I went one time and I've been sober ever since. And I came home, I went to sober living. I was there almost 2 years. And I've been sober ever since. Yeah. So
when you went to, is it rehab?
Yeah. We got treatment in the recovery community, but it's the same shit.
Okay. So treatment.
Yeah.
So when you went to treatment, was it like by choice or like if I'm asking too much?
No, I'm an open book. It was like offered. It was like my family was like, "Will you go?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It wasn't like a straight up intervention.
Were you like ready?
Yeah, dude, I was so broken. Like I was so sick and tired of just the cycle of like hurting people, and I'm hurting, and I'm self medicating with this shit, and I hate it, and I want it to end. And then I get the kind of the way out, and I just take it, right? And so
like you knew you were done.
Yeah,
like you knew.
Yeah, I was ready to be done. And like, when I work with guys and as a counselor and when I've sponsored guys in AA, the one thing that all of us have in common, and it's kind of dark, but there at the end, we're like, we want to die, but we're too chicken shit to kill ourselves. And so we just live in this like limbo of like, I don't want to be here, but I'm like, I'm not going to take myself out. So I just continue to use and stay in that headspace, so like to get out of that is just like, and that's like, I work in an inpatient treatment center now, and it's cool because I get to see these people come in broken as fuck. And then by the end of it, 30, 45 days, they're like a new person, they got a haircut, their lights back in their eyes, their skin's got a little more color in it. It's cool. It's a miracle type deal. I really think like just to see that whole process, be on the other side of it now and see it regularly is cool, and so like I said, I lucked out and I ended up in a really nice place in Orange County, California, and it was way too bougie for me. I don't come from money or anything, and I lucked out. I got scholarship through, and so and it worked.
So what was those days like? Were you off it just done
after a treatment or after rehab? I mean.
Yeah, like when you go to rehab, is it just no more? You're done.
Yeah.
Physically, how
bad are
it?
those withdrawals?
Yeah,
withdrawals are awful. I've been through it a handful of times. Mine wasn't too bad because there at the end, like all the dope plugs around town and kind of stopped fucking with me because they're like, you're like a little too sketchy.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Shit. And stuff had run off. There was like,
I can't imagine you sketchy.
I know, right? I know. There at the end, this was when fentanyl kind of first got here, and there was a huge bust. And like this would have been 2017, 2016. And so a lot of people were getting raided. There was people going, there was like one guy that went away for 20 years because some people had died. And so right at the end there, like all of that had run out. And so I was mostly just like shooting cocaine. And so when I went to treatment, I was mostly detoxing off the cocaine. So like it wasn't really too terrible. I had detoxed off of opiates before and it was really rough, but so like the first week of me being in rehab, I'm like having horrible nightmares, sweating, like joints aching, but like 5-6 days I was good, just eat, sleep, and just finally get out of it. And so, yeah.
I just have to ask.
Yeah.
When you're doing these things, are you writing music?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a few songs that I haven't put them out, but I'm thinking about revisiting them that I wrote while I was in my addiction. And there's some stuff, like some of the stuff on Indigo's first album was songs that me and Tanner had been playing for years. And then like kind of our second and then our third album that's about to come out is all stuff that I've written since getting sober. All the Loafy stuff I've written since getting sober. And so there's some of that there, and you can kind of feel the vibe is a little different. There's like one song that I've never put out called The Pit that is just like the saddest fucking song, like talking about I'm in this pit and all this stuff, like I can't get out. And so, yeah, I definitely, your headspace is just in a dark place during all that, But the fucked up part is like, I stayed in my addiction because I I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere with music, but I also wasn't getting anywhere with music because I was in my addiction.
Oh
you know?
shit! Just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
And so I've been lucky enough that since I've gotten sober, I've gotten to do some cool stuff with music. You know, I've gotten to play more. I've gotten to put music out. We toured in 2020. Yeah.
So you come home, you do 2 years here, sober living.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Dude, sober living is it's like the shittiest idea for a reality TV show. Like, let's put all these drug addicts in this house together and just see what happens, you know? But so it can be crazy. But for me, it was really where I learned how to like be an adult again, like go to work, pay bills, like fucking go home on time. Because you have like, you know, you got a curfew, you got to take a drug test every week. You got to, you know, show up to these things. You got to do what's asked of you. You got to go to AA meetings. And so I needed it. I needed accountability, you know, and I try to refer to my clients like, this is probably a good idea. Like I needed it, you know? And so I was just kind of like a wild feral person back then, and I needed somebody to tell me like, hey, you got to do this, you know? And what was crazy is like there at the end of my addiction, like I'd always worked. Like I worked in the oil field. I was doing opiates in the oil field. Like I've worked, but I functioned kind of for a while until the very end. Right. And so I had to relearn how to like function and just be normal and like not get fucked up and not go crazy, you know? And so that's where I mean, sober living was great for me. I went to this place in town called The Door, and they helped me out a lot. You know, they helped me to like learn how to fucking be a human again, you know?
So if you missed like curfew or a drug test where you kicked out?
Not immediately, just circumstantial, you know, because sometimes that kind of stuff happens, you know. They were really cool with me. Like I was just honest with them. Like my second week there, I had a show and they let me go play it and come back, you know.
Oh, okay.
And so I would have to go play a show and then rush home for curfew to take a UA, you know, or whatever. And so, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So what happens after those 2 years?
I mean, right at the end of that is when I started at Tech. So I'm living with friends, living with other people in recovery, started going to school. I'm working landscaping. And then at about 3 years sober, I started working at the treatment center I work at now. I started off as an overnight shift. So I would work like 5 overnights a week, and then I would work 3 days a week as a landscaper and then go to school 2 days a week. And I just did that, you know, for 2 years basically. And then I've only recently kind of stepped into a counselor position at the beginning of last year, at the end of last year. So
that's what you're doing now?
Mm-hmm.
What's that like? So you kind of
That's
mentoring
great.
them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a therapist. You know,
okay.
I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor intern. So I have like the babyest license. So I'm like in the beginning of my career basically, and so I love it. And I've been fortunate enough that like I've gotten a lot of experience in the last few years of sponsoring guys in 12-step meeting recovery stuff and working in a treatment center. So I have like a lot of experience to kind of pull from that, and then, you know, kind of just trying to help them figure out their shit, you know, figure out because, you know, like a lot of us in recovery really believe that like drugs and alcohol are a symptom of a bigger thing, right?
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's, you know, it could be anything. It could be depression, anxiety, it could be trauma, it could be a lot of things. And so, you know, the whole goal of like going to rehab and going through therapy and going to meetings is figuring out what those core issues are and working on them, right? And so that's my job, is to help guys figure out what your shit is, you know, figure out what we need to work on, figure out where your head needs to be for your life to get better, you know?
Was there like a common thing amongst everybody who was doing these things?
It's complicated, you know, it's a very complex issue, you know, some people it's childhood trauma. Some people it's a mental health disorder. Some people it's both. Some people it's just, you know, you cross a line after you know, drink or smoke or snort or do too much, you know, and then other stuff. But I mean, I think it's, you know, when we look at it, we have to look at it from like they call it like a biopsychosocial perspective. We have to look at everything that's happened in your life and try to figure out what's the issue here. And so
I wanted to ask you this. So as myself, a libertarian, I do believe that all drugs should be legal.
Me too.
Well, okay, I was going to ask you, what do you feel about that? Is it up? So it's just up to the person? Is that
I'm not anti-substance at all. Yeah. I don't partake, but I don't. I mean, I'm playing bars. You know, it's like so if I were like anti-substance, I'd have to like, you know, nerf my world and like live in my house in a closet. You know, I'm not. And like I said, the drugs and the alcohol are a symptom, right? The drugs and the alcohol are just a thing that I use to try to change the way I feel. And so I'm actually I think if you look at like countries like Portugal, Norway, I'm trying to remember the other ones where they've legalized and they've taken that money from the war on drugs and they put it into, you know, treatment and therapy and harm reduction, all these things. And they see actually lower rates of overdose, of crime, of all these things. And so I think it's like, it's a really complex issue. And like, you couldn't, you couldn't do it right now, but I hope at some point in this country we do that, at least decriminalize and stop. I mean, the war, I like to say this, like the war on drugs, the drugs are winning. Like there's never been more drugs everywhere. You can go to any city in this country and there's everything, And so it's like, are we really stopping it? No, and we're creating this whole other issue with cartels and all of that. And it's, we can get mad at them, but we're supply and demand, right? And it's like, so.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is we're buying it.
Yeah.
I recently saw this piece. It was actually on 60 Minutes, but I thought it was really interesting what they were talking about. They were talking about California, how even though weed is legalized, they're still having a lot of problems with it, and they're still like hammering it hard, hardcore because Uncle Sam still wants their cut. And so apparently like there's so much weed that's being overproduced and the numbers aren't there like they thought it would, right. because the black market is still because for how much you have to pay in fees, taxes, people rather grow it themselves and sell it behind closed doors. But dude, it's crazy. Like they're probably even more strict on it now than what they've ever been. Like dude, like in these ranches they have helicopters just flying over trying to bust people. And after watching that, and I was like, man, I don't really think I see Texas legalizing it pretty soon. But it's just because there's some they catch so many people now. And even in Colorado, they're trying to, I guess so many of the border states, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, even though it's like medically legalized, I guess so much of that is going into their states where they were saying that they could file complaints to the federal government and the federal government could easily take away that legalization if they really wanted to.
Yeah, it's still federally illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
well, and then, because of that, banks don't cover it. You can't get a loan if you want to open that up. And even like paying employees, you have to pay cash.
Right.
And so you still have to report. Like, dude, it's so crazy how it goes down to how many seeds that like you have to report of like what you grow.
Right.
And they have so many, they look at cameras, they look at everything just so people don't,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of with you a little bit I'm a little more of a libertarian. I don't really identify with any politics or party. I don't really give a fuck. But I don't think it should be illegal. But I also don't think why does the government have any say in anything we do with our bodies or And so, but I say this too. Like when it comes to like other drugs, like. If you look like what's happening with coke, meth, a bunch of stuff, like I'll get guys in treatment who are like coming off opioids and they thought they were just doing meth because the meth has fentanyl in it. They're cutting it with, cutting everything with fentanyl. It's killing
dangerous,
people.
Man.
Yeah. And so, if it were legalized, regulated, and I like I said, I don't really want Uncle Sam to get their cut, but, at least it would be safer, And so I wish that we had a different just culture around it. And like I said, I'm not anti-substance. And I think if it were legal and there were more resources, because that's another thing. Like I work at a private treatment center, and it's like we're pretty fair as far as our price, but there's a lot of like very expensive. Like the one I went to was $25,000 a month. Luckily, I got scholarships, and so I don't have to pay any of that. But then if you go to any of the state funded ones, they're pretty rough. Like they're not very nice. You get thrown in a fucking room with 6 other people and just figure your shit out. And you see a counselor maybe once a week, if that, for 4 weeks. And so there's not a whole lot of resources for people who can't afford it. And like most people who are addicts are in that category, right? Like there's some people that struggle with substance use, right? And they have money, but there's a lot of people that don't, And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how do you, what is somebody, or could the state, see, I have a problem with government intervention.
Right.
But I get it. Like the state comes in, and is that what happens? Like if somebody can't, they're helping. Is the state at least attempting to help people?
Yeah. Like we have a place here called Grace Manor. That's a state-funded, state-run treatment, and so it's for people who can't really afford to go to private, right, or don't have insurance or anything. And so there is some resources, and then we have Star Care out there, out kind of by the airport, and so there are some resources. And some people, I've known people that have gotten sober through that kind of stuff, and it works, And but the quality's not there, right? You know, it's not like the nicest facility, or there's some good people that work in those facilities and work in those kind of programs and stuff. But like I said, it's just not great, you know. But it works for some people. So,
do you think this country has a mental health problem?
absolutely, I think it's a
that kind of
healthcare
like-
problem.
Healthcare problem.
Yeah, I think that there is very like. If you look at psychiatrists, there are like so little psychiatrists, it's hard. All the ones in Lubbock booked out for months. It's really hard. Sorry, I'm gonna burp.
Better help you want to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a mental health issue, and I think it manifests in a lot of different things, right? Not to like get too edgy, but the gun thing, right? Like the school shooting stuff. I think it's kind of a twofold issue, right? Like guns are super easy to get, but also at the same time, like there are a lot of these people that do these things have mental health issues, and
You
don't
have to
that.
be
Yeah.
mentally not
Right.
there to kill people
Yeah.
like that, dude. No
Absolutely.
matter who you are, whatever flag you fly, you're fucked up.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, white, black, trans.
Agreed.
That's a fucked up thing to do, man.
It is. Yeah,
And
it's
it-
dark.
I've seen like things that it's like it can be almost pointed at big pharma. I don't want to point just one finger. Obviously, there's a whole,
Yeah.
but it is a complicated issue. But it just seems like they just want to not really help you fix the problem. Just mask it with drugs. Or
I mean,
whatever.
dude, I've got beef with big pharma. I am a victim technically of the opioid crisis that was pushed by Purdue Pharma. I don't know if y'all are aware of any of that. You
Yeah.
know, like they bribed the FDA to like put on a non-addictive label on it, and then they've caused. I mean, they said in 2021 that the death toll from the opioid epidemic was over 100,000, which is more than the Vietnam and Korean wars combined. And that's Purdue Pharma's fault. They did it. They put OxyContin out saying that it was non-addictive. And then they had their drug reps pushing it and getting doctors. You look at community places like West Virginia where it just totally ransacked the whole state, and there's all these, minors and all these communities where that's the whole town is all addicted to opioids now. And eventually they get cut off from their prescription. They get cut off from like legal ways to get it, and they start doing heroin, and that's what's happened. And it's happened all over the country, and it's happened all over the world too. And only countries like Portugal and Norway have done something different about it, but we continue to fight this like endless war on drugs that does nothing. And it just moves money around from the cartel to the DEA to the cartel to the DEA, and
oh
it's
boy, don't get me started on that one. That's
so yeah,
that's
I
a
agree.
motherfucker to look at.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, there's so many issues you could look at. And I'm not a politics guy. I don't pay attention. I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore. Yeah. But I'm also of the mind that like I do my part by trying to help people in my community. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm a counselor. That's why I'm in AA. That's why I sponsor guys, because that's what I can affect, right? I can't affect what happens at the White House. I can't affect any of that, but I can help what I can here, right? My little corner of the world. And so, but it is hard to like, I work in a night treatment center, and like sometimes we get calls and they'll ask me like, how much it is, or what do you have to have insurance? And I tell them, yeah. And then they, they can't afford it. They can't do it. And so it sucks. I hate it. I always give them, resources that we have here, but some people have to wait a couple months before they do that. And some people don't have a couple months, some people are like, having all kinds of terrible shit going on because they're in their addiction, so it's awful.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing.
Well,
It's the most powerful country the world has ever seen, ever, and we can't even take care of our own people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we can send $4 billion to Ukraine, whatever. It's fucking, dude. It's so disappointing. It really fucking breaks my heart when I see that shit, dude. Because I want to believe in this country. I do, not the government.
Yeah.
I believe in this country, but it's like, God damn it. And then also on the other side, I'm like, yeah, but do we want to give the government that power?
Yeah.
It's a fucking tricky issue, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, people need help. But
I'm like this. I don't like the idea of big government, but I think if they're there, which they are, they should do what they're supposed to do. They should be helpful,
There you go.
and they should do it efficiently, but they don't, So I don't know, man.
yeah. What can you do, man? But
Yeah.
so you can focus on your community.
Yeah.
When you're like counseling these people, do you tell them? Are you tell them like work out? Are you giving them like healthy lifestyle choices? Is that what you do?
I'm still trying to work on
Well,
that a
you
little
work
bit.
out.
Got the little bit of the panza.
But you're out there working out. We see you
Yeah. So recently I got into that like 2 years ago of like lifting weights and stuff, and I'm trying to get healthier. And I've realized that too is a big part of it, dude. Like fuck, like my anxiety used to be pretty like high. Like I didn't even really realize it until I started like working out regularly, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't really feel that way anymore, And obviously some people have way more severe mental shit, and it's and you can't just like go to the gym and your depression goes away for everybody. But for some people, it might help. For me, I'm one of those. Like, it's helped a lot, and I do suggest that I kind of, try to take a holistic approach of like mind, body, spirit, right? If I'm working on these 3 things every day, at least a little bit, like I'm going to get better, it's like things are going to get better and I'm going to feel better, so.
No, this might be this question right here. Do you ever feel that the church preys on people? I don't know if praise them, like they're actively seeking out people when they're very vulnerable, like in these positions to recruit them into the church.
I mean, I'm sure that happens. I think it's well intentioned, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I would like to believe it is.
Yeah. Like, I have a religious background. I'm not really religious anymore. I'm spiritual, but I don't really attend church, But I'll say this, when I first got sober, I did. And I played on a praise team and I got super involved with church and it helped me. It helped me for a while. And then I'll tell you, I'll tell you this story. I'm less than a year sober. Like, life's still pretty hard. I'm digging holes for $10 an hour doing landscape irrigation. I'm driving this beat up old work truck, and every Sunday I'm like there at church early to practice, run through the worship songs, and then get ready for the service. And I pull up one day, and I'm in this beat up Chevy work truck. There's like one headlight that doesn't work. The wiring's gone. The AC the AC will blow sometimes, but you got to kick under the dashboard to get it to start. And the pastor's wife pulls up in her Porsche, and I just look, and I'm tithing. I'm doing it all, right? I'm doing everything. I'm tithing. I'm also giving my time. I'm there every Wednesday, every Sunday, and she pulls up next to me in this Porsche, and I'm like, I have this thought of like, I'm paying this bitch's Porsche.
It's a tough one, Nick.
That's a pretty generalization, but I mean, that was a realization, the thought that went through my head, and I stopped going after that, and I haven't really been back since. You look at like Joel Osteen and some of these mega church preachers, and it's fucking pretty, not great. And
so that was your deterrence from the church?
A little bit, yeah. And I don't have any beef with people who find like, some love and compassion and stuff in their faith, right? Because I think, in the big book of AA, it talks about be quick to see where religious people are right. And I think for a lot of people, it helps them, right? It gives them some kind of something bigger.
Community, right?
Yeah, community, something bigger to believe in, But I do think there is some room for some charlatans, Like, there's some weird shit in there, And around here, we got a lot of like the prosperity preaching, right? Where they'll spend 15, 20 minutes during a service talking about how you need to tithe and do all this stuff. And, half the people in the congregation are broke, and then the pastor's in their fucking Porsche.
You got to pay the bills and the big billings, man.
So I don't know. I hate it too, because I think you're right. I think for some people are vulnerable and they do get preyed on, but
not just by the church, but
yeah, and that's happens with humans, right?
Yeah.
Power corrupts, right? And but it happens. It's weird.
I saw a post. It was a bunch of different photos of a Catholic priest. Every time he would like bless the bread, he would hold it up, but his robe would go up a little bit, and every Sunday, it was a different pair of J's that he was wearing. And it's like, that's where all that church money's going to.
That's dirty.
I used to have a really good priest that I believed in. And he said, this is what he said. He said, I took a vow of celibacy, not a vow of poverty. That's what he said. And I get that, but it takes a very strong man not to let that shit corrupt you, man. Yeah. Money's especially in the church. I don't know.
Yeah,
we had a priest that went kind of haywire, like during mass. I was a little kid and I still remember what happened. There was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes with money and where things were going. And during mass, he had some checks that some people wrote to the church, and in front of everyone handed them back, said, we can't accept this right now. And he's like, I just want to say that there's been a lot of judgment going on about how I'm running the church. I'm the priest, and the way I run it is the way I run it. And my job here is to get all the devils out, and all of y'all are just a bunch of devils. And I was like, oh shit.
Good for him. Good for him.
And he went back to a church where in his home country in the Dominican Republic. So he was never really
What
seen
church
again.
is this?
This is St. Francis in Wolford.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
we didn't see
the
much
Catholic
of,
Church.
we didn't see much of him after that.
Yeah. I mean, not to shit on any of y'all's background, but the Catholic Church itself is, there's a lot of sketchy shit there.
Predator and prey, buddy. Predator and prey.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw that Bill Burr made a joke about the Catholic priests and stuff, and he got some backlash for it on some news show. And they were like, "Don't you think you took it a little far with the Catholic Church?" And he was like, "Don't you think the Catholic Church took it a little far?"
I've seen that before.
But it's true. There's a really good movie called Spotlight about the reporters from Chicago. Have you seen that?
Is that with Mark Ruffalo?
Mark Ruffalo, Michael
good.
Keaton.
It's good. It's all about them like breaking the story of the priests and the little boys, and it's dark shit, man. Super dark shit.
It's like, again, it's like with America. You want to believe in the institution, but they're ran by people, and people can do evil things, man.
They're fallible.
Fuck. It sucks.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've been, oh boy, I've allowed myself to be poisoned by the media. All the media I consume, and I'm just like, God, is there anything good in this fucking world? You know, but there is. I still have hope in humanity.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I don't ever since like the last presidential election and all that, I have no bandwidth for it all anymore. I don't pay attention.
Well, buddy,
and I'm happier that worse. Way. Yeah, I'm sure. 2024
election is going to get horrible.
Dude. Yeah. So I've kind of told myself I'll probably never vote again. But I don't know. But
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So in these dark hours of your life, man, how do you get out of it? Like, just if people are listening right now.
I mean, dude, I think the biggest thing is like I really lucked out. I had a good woman who loved me. We didn't stay together. Too much had happened, but she, you know, I always say that she kept me alive. Like, she really did. You know, like I probably would have died if it hadn't been for her, because she was always just, you know, she put up with my bullshit long enough for me to get better. You know, and I lucked out. I'm fortunate. You know, I have family. I have people who cared about me still, and so I think the main thing is, you know, just realizing enough was enough, you know, being ready to change. Cause like, that's the hard part too about what I do now and working in rehab, you know, and seeing guys come back, you know, and it's a lot of people have to come back 3, 4. I mean, I meet guys that have been to 13 different rehabs, you know? And so, but it's always the same story. Basically, they didn't listen. They didn't listen to people who knew better. They didn't do what we told them to do. And so I think if you're in a dark spot, you know, there are always people that are gonna care about you, even if you think nobody does. Which, you know, I didn't. For some reason I had it in my head that nobody actually cared, but I had people that loved me, you know, and just like for anybody listening that maybe in that kind of spot, you know, that it can get better. I mean, I just celebrated 6 years sober, and like, you know, I graduated Texas Tech with honors. You know, for a dude who couldn't keep a needle out of his arm 6 years ago, that's pretty cool. You know, I just got accepted into grad school, and so life's good, man. Life's beautiful, and it's like when I think about that past version of myself, it was like I had blinders on. You know, I was only focusing on my bullshit, and I couldn't see all the beautiful things around me. I couldn't see the love that people still had for me. The girlfriend I was dating at the time, my family, my parents, all of that. You know. And so it's like same thing with all this media shit and politics, right? Like I can put my blinders on and focus on climate change and Biden and whatever, and let's go, all that shit, you know? But if I can like take a second and really breathe it in and have some awareness and look around me, like there's some beautiful shit going around all the time, you know? And like, I think you kind of hinted at something a while ago, like, you know, you like believe in this country, but it's the people, right? Like that's what makes this country what it is, right? Like the spirit of like, something better, right? Working hard for something better. That's what makes this country great, I think. And the people that have come over here and who have done that, that's really what it's about, right? And I think we can be blind to that kind of shit. We can be focused on whatever, and just being able to realize like life is beautiful. It can get better, you know? And I think a lot of times we get hyper fixated on the negative, on the bad things. And it's like, you know, I have conversations with people sometimes that tell me they don't know if they want to have kids because the world is so crazy. I'm like, the world's always been crazy. There was world wars.
Way worse back then.
Yeah, dude, medieval times, bro. When you'd like walk out your door and get, you know, chopped in half. I mean,
Comanches.
Or the Black Plague.
Yeah, the Black Plague. I mean, I think the world is always crazy, right? But it's also always beautiful, I think, you know. Yeah.
You know, you got out of that dark place, but for you, like, you know, dealing with people that are having that problem, have you seen cases where there's just no hope for a certain person? Like, sometimes I'll say this, sometimes the best case scenario is a person goes to jail for a long time, and hopefully that helps. Some people it helps, you know. There's just some people who their ego won't allow them to be broken enough to get fixed. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like they can't
they can't take suggestions. They can't hear other people tell them what to do, and they think that I can do it this way. I can try it this way. I'll try this. And I've watched a lot of people die. And there's some people too that they kind of romanticize it. They kind of romanticize that life and that the chaos of it all and the lawlessness of it all. Of
I think that's the biggest.
Some people like that, right? Some people want to live for that, right?
Yeah.
They're outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
crazy.
tell themselves that. And it's like, you're really not. Are you an outlaw when you're in a prison cell being told when to eat, when to sleep, when to shit? Like, it's not. That's
is
not
though.
free. It's not wild and free. So, yeah.
Someone that was close with us, he had a very bad problem with meth. And seeing him high, like that's a different kind of high. But like he got in trouble because he got caught stealing, and he went to jail for almost a year. But now he's back, and he's back with his girl, back with his kids. So far, he's doing great, and that's just he's been staying busy, and it's nice seeing him like himself again.
Right.
But that's just one thing. It's just like I'm hoping and praying that he stays where he's at.
Yeah.
But people that are hooked on meth, that's a different kind of.
It's a wild drug.
Yeah. You see them if they've been awake for a week and they're fucking losing their mind.
Well, everybody's on fucking Adderall.
Yeah, that's true.
Man,
That's true. It's low dose. It's
Adderall.
amphetamines. Yeah, it's the same shit.
Is there like when people come back or relapse? Is there always a common? Is it? Maybe we're making it. It's way more complicated than I'm making it seem. But do there seem to be some similar reasons why people relapse?
Yeah, a lot of the times it starts with like a lot of people just kind of stop doing what works, right? Like say you were going to AA, like I have some like core tenets that I really believe in order for like a person to stay sober or get better. And this is just true, I think, of all humans. Like we have to have some community, right? I believe we have to have some kind of spirituality, and it doesn't mean to be religion. Like you can be an atheist and still have some spirituality, right? Of like, this is my belief. This is something I'm connecting to something greater than me. It could be a group of people, could be an ideology, could be a principle.
Could be rock and roll.
Could be rock and roll, some community, some kind of spirituality, and then some service, like doing something for other people. And I think that's a big one, right? And so usually when people, relapse or kind of go back, it's because they either stop doing one or all of those things. They get disconnected, they isolate, they go back in that same headspace, all their bullshit, whatever it is. If it's self-pity or low self-esteem, jealousy, anger, resentment, all these things that's their core issue. Those things kind of start to come back out, and they stop doing what worked, what helped them, and then next thing you know, that they're right back where they were, and usually worse. I've watched guys get sober, start school, get a job, get a car, get a girlfriend, and then next thing you know, they're right back where they were. I've literally watched a guy get like all this stuff back, and then within a week he was in the hospital losing his mind because he did meth, and so it's weird. It's fucking spooky,
It is spooky.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone, because I've seen people where they were hooked on everything you could think of, and then they went sober, went cold turkey, and they're able to maintain themselves. But I've also met people that were in on that same boat, but now they don't do the hard stuff. They're still able to drink alcohol and smoke weed and not give in to that. So it's different for everyone.
I agree. Yeah, it's very individual. It has to be, you have to figure it out for yourself, I think. And I know a lot of people like that too. And I commend those people still. Like people will tell me sometimes at shows, like, yeah, I drink now, but I used to do meth. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that about you. Like I've had people that were shocked to hear that. And I'm like, I'm proud of you. Like it doesn't matter where you're at on the spectrum of it all. Like as long as you're doing better, feeling better, happy, I'm fucking happy for you.
But I guess it's for people that feel that slight buzz. It makes them crave even more, right? Is that really what it is?
I think. There's just some people. I'm one of those people. Like anything that makes me feel good, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
And some people are wired like that. Some people aren't. Some people can have like most of y'all. Like y'all drink. Y'all can probably have a beer or two and like shut it off, right? No.
No,
I can.
No. That's why you're spooking me out.
Well, no. Dude. You would know, bro. Like, you would know if you were like me, I think. Like your life would be in fucking shambles, It doesn't seem like it is. So
Well, you're saying that, and obviously it starts somewhere. You cross that fucking line sometime, you know. And that's what Slash said. It's an invisible line, and you cross it, you don't even know you crossed it.
Man, what's funny is I read Slash's book when I was
book.
when I was like 16 or 17. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I hope that never happens to me. And surely enough, you know, like it freaked me out to read all that shit. And sure enough, you know, so, but.
I just couldn't imagine like being a big time rock star doing all that.
Yeah.
It's just like there's so many rock stars that I've looked up to, and you find out their background. And it's like, man, how the hell did they maintain? Like, you know, they go on stage and they're able to rock out for that hour or two, but then as soon as it's done, they're all slump and everything.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
They're escaping something. I don't know, but they have a God-given talent.
Yeah, and it's also crazy too because you'd think like you have everything you want, like you'd think you'd be happy, right? Which kind of goes to show that it's an internal thing, right? Like external things don't matter that much. Like they matter, you know, but you know, you can have all that and be fucking miserable still and hate yourself and want to die and be fucking addicted and all that shit. So it's nuts, right? Like, and there's a million examples of that. You can look back all through music history and rock music and everything and find all kinds of musicians and rappers and artists who like were successful, had all this love and praise, and they still like, you know, were struggling. And it's weird, you know?
Hell yeah.
Do you think
or go ahead.
I was going to ask you, like, do you take like the approach of you gotta like be, it's up to you as an individual to in your life choices? I say that because do you think like social media and these rock stars and these rappers glamorizing this shit has a lot to do with people doing it? That's why I drink, by the way. Watching Slash drink, I was like, man, that's fucking cool. Right. I did do that. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Right.
You know?
I mean, dude, I think...
Or do we all have to take some accountability at some point?
We have to take some accountability. I think there is some of that, right? Like, I think some stuff does romanticize it, and it seems like, especially rap in the like most recent years, especially all the talk about Xanax and all this stuff.
Pills.
And rap's always done that, right? A little bit.
Rock and roll's done it too.
Rock and roll's done it too. I'm not trying to single out rap. Yeah, even
especially country.
Beer,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Waylon Jennings.
Yeah, but also you know. I think we all have to. It's kind of like the, you know, back in the early 90s when all the school shootings were happening and they were blaming Marilyn Manson and the satanic panic and all that. And it's like, is it really? It's not really their fault, right? Like we can't. It also comes down to like if parents are blaming artists, then it's like it's really your fault for what you let your kid consume. I think because not every kid should be able to consume everything an adult can, right? So it's like, what do? Do we nerf the world, or do we take accountability for us and our family? So
yeah, I think that's a major issue now is lack of accountability. Like people like, I get it, man. Sometimes you're born in a shitty situation and I would never know what that's like, but sometimes you just gotta, I don't know, man. It's a weird little line. I don't know.
No,
you know, which is,
I had to have I remember having a conversation with one of my friends about a year ago, maybe longer, but they would just like regularly use cocaine, and I guess I don't care about it, but also it's just like I've known people in my past that have just gone down slippery slopes off of cocaine, you know, or just become awful people on cocaine, or, you know, and I just...
That was a burp.
No,
so like it just...
We gotta throw some comedy in this, man.
Yeah, it's getting dark.
As regularly as it's around me, it still makes me sad to see my friends use it. And then it used to make me really sad when like this friend would just... it started bleeding into their life, you know, a little bit more versus just partying. And I remember them telling me, I think if I'm going to stop cocaine, I want to do Adderall, or I want to take Adderall because I have ADHD, because I do cocaine to keep me like on top of things and blah, 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 blah. And I was just kind of like, you have a planner, you have a whiteboard, you have put notes in your phone. Come on, man. Like you have to like be better about it. But no, you don't understand. Like this helps me keep, you know, whatever. And I just kind of had to like finally be like, you know what, man, I want to grow old with my friends. Like I just had to like just tell them like, and I just was like, as your friend, I just have to tell you that scares the shit out of me.
All right.
And I was like, you're gonna do what you do, and I'm gonna love you through it, man. I'm not gonna ever shit talk you, but like I have to let you know as your friend, that's a cop out. You're fucking scaring me.
Yeah, it's a rationalization and justification.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I was like, I'm not gonna press you about, you know, like it was a lunch conversation. That was it. And we haven't talked about it since or anything, and I don't press him about it. But like, I feel like, yes, there has to be accountability, but I feel like also in our community, if you love the people around you, if you see that shit is scary, just with love, with respect, man, you know, if you need anything, let me know. Or like, this is kind of, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like that's also part of it.
Yeah, and I think accountability also like
and enabling, and
yeah.
I've even told Roy we had a friend at one point who was just fucking crazy off the alcohol, and it's just like, y'all can't hang out with somebody and like
He's
let
sober
them
now, by the way.
Yeah, you know, great for him.
Awesome.
You know, I love to see that. But you know, it's just like we can't enable this, you know, or like we can't be okay with seeing them like this. And yes, we are all grown adults and we're all in our late 20s or whatever, but if you like that is beyond limits, and it's more into like that is suffering at one point. Like you can see that, you know. And so
Tell me if this is fucked up. So I have a friend who I haven't talked to him in a few weeks, who's on the powder. So I texted him last summer. I was like, dude, you gotta be careful. Just for peace of mind. I was like, that fentanyl's bad. Yeah. Be careful. I texted him last summer, and then recently I saw him, and I was like, does that not scare you? He's like, I ain't dead yet. And I ain't said nothing. I hang out with him. That's just been my mentality. You obviously are gonna do it. I hope you're safe, brother. I don't want to see you dead, but I don't think you're gonna fucking change just because I'm like, so I still hang out with him. I don't do it with him. I don't help him get it. I never did anyways. Just like, you do you, brother. Yeah. It's fucking sad, and I'm like, dude.
It's just, yeah, it's scary.
Some people are gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
and they're like that, with that example. I mean, some people are just arrogant, right? Some people just are invincible. They think.
I don't want to put that out there because sometimes the good Lord.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Smacks you in the head, dude.
I had a guy that I was working with. I was sponsoring him. And he had said to some people, and I heard about this later, that, he was talking about some girl who was doing fentanyl. He's like, oh, she just doesn't know how to do it. I know how to do it right, And then a week later, he overdosed.
Fucking doctor?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And he had overdosed, right? A week after saying that. And so it's like, there's some arrogance, like you can be arrogant and fucking get yourself killed. And that's just true about anything, right? But absolutely. And your point, I think, is really absolutely true. I think, and it goes back to the direct action thing, right? Like, if we want things to get better, we have to be willing to hold people accountable as much as ourselves. Like, taking responsibility for ourselves also means taking responsibility for where we fell as friends and family members and members of our community, right? If I see some shit and I'm letting it slide and I'm watching somebody fucking kill themselves and I don't say something, I don't let them know that I'm concerned for them. I mean, I got a part to play in it a little bit, right? And so I'm not saying it's our fault, but I think we're all interconnected, and the quicker we can understand that and hold people accountable and tell them we love them and tell them we're worried about them. When people would say,
when you really look at it, it's harder to turn a blind eye, than to just, what the fuck, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
I had to turn it. I can't help my friend. And that other guy we were talking about, he was my friend, full-blown alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I felt bad about that. I was like, dude, there were some other things that transpired, mind you, but because he's an alcoholic, and I was like, I just cut him off, and man, I can't. But he had many chances to fucking fix his life. Right. He went to jail, got off on probation easy, everything, and then but now he's sober, thank God.
That's good.
And I was just like, damn, man, addiction's a nasty thing.
It is, and it sucks because like it is our job to tell people when we care about them or worried about them. And I think you did that with your friend you were talking about on the Coke, right? But also, like, I wasn't ready until I was ready. Like, I've had a million talks with people. I had a million people tell me they were worried about me. I've laying there dope sick, and people coming and telling me like they're so scared for me. I got track marks, and I wasn't ready till I was ready. So it's like it's a really, and also too, like the enabling part of it too. Like, there's a lot of people I'll see, guys come to treatment with us, and they have a mom or a dad or a girlfriend or somebody that enables the fuck out of them, who keeps like letting them kind of get away with this shit, and they're scared because they don't want them to go off and do it on their own. But it's a fucked up dynamic, and it's like I said, it takes, you have to be ready. And so sometimes it takes losing shit. Sometimes it takes, for me, I've been in jail like 8 times, like nothing ever long, but I've been arrested like 8 times, Damn. Yeah. And luckily I caught 1 felony and I got it off of it, deferred and all that. So I'm not a felon, but it took all of that. I needed all that shit to happen. I needed to lose everything in order for me to be ready. And some people some people can lose everything and still not really be ready, to see that sometimes. And
That's
it sucks.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
You got a tough job.
Yeah.
I understand why you do it.
Hell,
but-
people get kicked down the streets and it still doesn't phase them.
Oh, yeah.
I put on one of my friends, and I mean, like, not to put like business out there, but I work in a salon, and I work within education of my salon. So like within like my little realm of hair, I am like in a mentorship position, so it's like when I take these like students in or whatever, like they're younger than me, like some 17, 18, I start with them as soon as like they graduate high school or whatever. So like I get to kind of help mentor them into like adulthood, like, oh my God, girl, you got a car, you got an apartment, so I see these little milestones with them. And I had one in particular, she was my student since she was 17, and she was with us until she was 22. So we saw her like graduate high school and then make her first big paycheck and get her first apartment and get a new car. And then we started seeing her come to work late. And then we started seeing her be in the bathroom for 20, 30 minutes at a time. And then people started, just noticing. It was a slippery slope. And then before you know it, she was just gone.
Yeah.
She was just fucking gone. You know what I mean? And that was fucking years ago. And every now and then I hear about her and she's still gone. You know what I mean? And so that's also very fucking scary because I saw a kid go through that essentially. So that's why I'm 29 and I fucking did coke like once in high school and once when I was 21. It never whatever. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I feel like I smoke a lot of weed. You know what I mean? And I know I have addictive tendencies with like how I work out and how I approach other things in life. So it's just one of those of, I never had the tendency to touch it. So why would I start now?
Right.
But I have that mindset. So to be around other people that are just so deep into it fucking scares me.
Yeah.
It really scares me. And I wanted to talk about your No More Funerals thing.
Yeah.
Leading into that, just because I feel like obviously it's a little like-minded or, like you're doing something within your community.
Yeah. And that's a good place to talk about it. I'm still kind of in the, formalizing stage. I'm trying to get registered as a 501c3, hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, the whole idea.
Hand in hand with the Nirvana show?
Yeah, that was what that was, to kind of raise funds for that. So still working on that a little bit. But I kind of sit in this really unique, weird position, right? Of like, I'm in recovery, I'm a counselor, but I'm also a musician. So like, I see y'all at shows, I see y'all at the art trail, I see, I go to these things. And so like, I live in these two worlds, right? And so like, I see, and I think I may even know some of the people y'all are talking about. Like I see them at these house shows fucked up, all this stuff. Like, and so the whole idea was like to like bridge these two worlds together a little bit, right? Where I can do like stuff like, one of the things I want to do hopefully soon is do some fentanyl testing strips and teach people how to like test your coke for fentanyl, because like there's so much cocaine in Lubbock.
I know
right?
that's a lifesaver, but man, that makes me sad
I know
that we even have to do that.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Especially seeing the amount it takes to really do something to you. It's just
it's
like
nothing.
Yeah.
And that, and like Narcan, like teach people how to use Narcan in case somebody does accidentally overdose on fentanyl that they didn't know. Teach them how to revive somebody. That's just kind of some of the stuff I'm wanting to do. And like the fentanyl thing, I don't know. I've looked into it a little bit on the data around this region. It's not as bad here as it is in other places. Like California gets it really bad, but it's also kind of, you don't fucking know, So it's like me living in these two worlds, just trying to bridge the gap between the recovery community here, because there's a good recovery community here. There's all kinds of resources. There's like the Center for Collegiate Recovery at Texas Tech. There's treatment centers. There's all these meetings. There's like 7 or 8 places to go to an AA meeting pretty much any time of the day here in Lubbock, and nobody knows that, And so there's some resources, and then also like all the stuff in the music world, and like there's people I see all the time, like people at my shows that are super drunk or whatever, that could be like me, that may need help. And so just kind of having a place to bring these two communities together a little bit, so that's the goal. So working towards it. I had a partner, he left Lubbock, so I've been kind of trying to figure it out on my own with all the other shit I have going on. So, but yeah, that's the goal really, is to try to do some harm reduction and focus on like keeping people from dying, keeping people from overdosing. So
And that's what is it called?
No More Funerals.
And would that be like a nonprofit?
Yeah,
That's not what that meant.
Yeah. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, that's like, I have a few ideas like I'm still working on. Yeah, you can pull that up if you want. But my goofy TikToks on Instagram. So, yeah, we're kind of still in the early stages and planning and stuff. But yeah,
That was a good event.
yeah, it was fun. I had a good time.
Damn, that was 9 weeks ago.
I was up in the front jamming out.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Holy shit.
So yeah.
There I am, right there. You see my head.
It's a fresh face.
All right, let's take a break. I have to piss like a
Yeah, I kind of
motherfucker.
got pizza. Yeah, let's do it.
What was it called?
The podcast?
Yeah.
Weird, Fat, and Sober.
Weird Fat.
Yeah, it's still up everywhere. It's like 23, 25 episodes, something like that. So it was kind of focused on other people's stories in recovery. And so there's a bunch of people around Lubbock and stuff that have went on there and told their story of their addiction and their recovery. And so it was cool. I enjoyed it, And then I did another one for a little bit with my buddies who opened a sober living called The Cove. We were kind of talking about similar thing, but the three of us, the three of us that got sober together. So yeah, I enjoy podcasting. I just, it's time consuming. So
Have you been hearing about what's going on with Bam Margera?
yeah, I saw a video of
That's
him all
just
fucked up
crazy.
the other day. He's
That's
just
so
in and
sad.
out, man.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is going to take is him being put in jail.
Maybe. And it's sad too because he's got Steve-O and he's got Brandon Novak who are both sober. Steve-O's got like 13 years or something. Novak has like 6. So he's got people that care about him that know what to do. And it's not working for him.
Man,
So
Steve-O, I mean, he has video evidence of all that shit. I went to go see him do stand-up here in Lubbock last year. He actually shows a lot of those videos.
really,
And he turns it into like comedic, but he's still like serious about it.
right?
But like, there's that. But even Brendan Novak, like he has some crazy ass stories.
Oh yeah.
And
So I know a couple people from the Philly area, and they've seen Brandon Novak before he got sober this time, like coming in and out of AA meetings, all fucked up, shooting up in the bathroom, and so like he was the real deal, like fucking junk box, and it's cool. He's opened like sober livings now, and he's successful again, and so yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the like rock star type deal, right? If you've got money and a little bit of fame, that'll fuel your addiction just as much. If it's got to be an internal thing to fix it, right?
we were watching.
Yeah, we've been watching Viva La Bam.
He had an episode playing, and what's the lead singer of him?
Villa Whale, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen.
Val Vallo, I think.
Vil Vallo.
Yeah, because I had watched. It's called Epically Latered. It's a Vice thing where they
Oh, I've seen that too.
yeah, and they talk about skateboarders, like their upbringing, where they talk about like what he was going through. And I guess when Bam was hanging out with him, he had this fear of, because I guess they said growing up in Margera, you're pretty much most likely going to end up being fat, and all the Margeras were pretty big, and so he was
Uncle Vito,
like,
Phil.
I'm not going to become that. So he really would not eat. He would just drink. Like he would wake up and just start drinking and not eat at all. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at him now. I mean, he's kind of
big now.
he looks just like his dad too.
That sucks, man.
But it's just going through that, that rock star life. Some people just can't handle it.
Yeah, a lot of pressure and the money and the fame, and it's such an enigma because it's like you have everything you want, you think you'd be happy, but material. Have you ever heard of the term of the hedonic treadmill? So there's this really good documentary called Happy that came out in like 07 or 08, and they look all these different places around the world and all these different types of people and cultures, and they ask them like, are you happy? What is happy? They did a bunch of research on happiness and what makes happiness, and so what's made people happy. And so they have this concept to talk about the hedonic treadmill where like the more we get of something, the more we want it, right? And so like they have this analogy in there. They talk about the difference between making $5,000 a year and $50,000 a year is astronomical, right? That pulls you out of poverty, that allows your kids to go to school, you safe home, food, all that stuff. But the difference between $50,000 a year and $100,000 or $150,000 or $500,000 really isn't that much different, right? It's a bigger house, it's a bigger car, but it's pretty much the same shit. And they also talk about how since like the 1950s, American economic growth has gone up a lot, but our general happiness has stayed the same. And so it's like they go to a bunch of different cultures and they look at like these. There's like this village in like some island in Japan where all the elderly people live in like these community housing, and they like watch the kids, and so they go all over the world and look at these different people, and so they kind of come to the like understanding in the documentary that like stuff doesn't make us happy. Like community, being a part of something bigger than yourself is like what really makes us happy, having some purpose in our life, you know. And so it's interesting, and I think that kind of that rock star shit, you know, and you could argue that they have some purpose, but they get so famous that they have to be isolated, right? Because it's too overwhelming and too overbearing to go out in public or be part of stuff. And so, I mean, there's people I think that you know, like you look at Rogan, like he's got like this new comedy club, and he talks about that a lot, about like community, like having a community of other comics. And I think like he's a, you know, people like that, like they're all, you can be wealthy and like be happy and but it's like stuff isn't going to get it, right? Stuff isn't what's going to make you more happy or happy at all. So I don't know, it's interesting. But
the sad story, I guess, for a rock star, I think, is Janis Joplin dying.
Yeah.
Just how she talked about a lot, trying to find happiness, and you know, she grew up being made fun of. She went to the University of Texas, and she was voted, I think, ugliest man. So like going through like having all that like bad attention to boom your love,
right.
I can't imagine what. And then she struggled with alcohol and then heroin, and apparently she had quit, but the night, I guess, supposedly she was going to do it just one last time, and that one last time got her. That
happens a lot too. A lot of people will get clean for a little bit, and they'll go back to their same dosage of heroin or whatever, and they'll overdose. You know, it happens.
No.
You know? And I would imagine with her, I bet there was a little bit of imposter syndrome, because feeling hated by everybody most of your life, and then all of a sudden you get famous because of your talent. You probably wouldn't believe it a little bit. You probably think it was all fake. You probably would feel like this, I don't deserve this. And it's hard, you know? Yeah.
Who are some of your musical influences? Who are you listening to?
Right now, I've been on like a metalcore kick for a few like weeks, months. I go back and forth. For a long time, the Mars Volta was like my biggest, favoriteest band ever. And I think you can kind of hear that in Indigo. That's like a big influence of ours. But my like OGs are like Mars Volta, Coheed and Cambria, that kind of stuff, you know, like prog rock type stuff. But I'm like an old emo kid too, you know, Taking Back Sunday, The Used, Hawthorne Heights, all that shit. Here lately, I've been kind of, Spirit Box has been on repeat lately. Dayseeker's been one I've been jamming, Bad Omen, some of that kind of stuff, metalcore. I bounce around though. I love everything. I love Anderson .Paak. That's one thing I listen to on a regular. Fucking love him.
So what was you have Indigo, and now you're doing a side project?
Loafy, yeah.
Loafy.
So Loafy is...
Yeah, what was the reason for that?
Loafy is kind of just like... so the way Indigo works, right, is I'll write a handful of songs. Like I write a shitload. Like I just got done writing 100 songs in 100 days. I ended up only doing 95, but I did it all on TikTok and stuff. But I write a shitload, right? Like that's like a big part of my mental health, and like my just whole self-care is writing music. And so I'll take a handful of songs to Indigo, and the ones that they don't want or don't like, they'll turn into like Loafy songs basically. So for the last few years, in my home studio, I've just been recording music and writing music. And so Loafy, the 6 songs so far I put out most of them are kind of more focused on like mental health stuff. Like the lyrics kind of have a lot to do with like mental health and just taking care of yourself. And so it's more of like an indie alternative project. You know, Indigo's more prog rock, math rock kind of shit, and Loafy's just like chill indie alternative type of stuff. So it's just like another outlet for me to put out a little bit of different stuff that's not really suited for Indigo, I guess. So I just put out a single called Clean Your Room last week. So stream that wherever you listen to music.
There you go, people. Can you sync the Bluetooth so we can listen to that Shrek one?
Shrek one.
I put the Bluetooth on the laptop.
Yeah, that Shrek one was in that 100 songs I wrote.
Yeah, is that what you were doing? Okay.
Yeah, I wrote some goofy ones just for fun, but...
Is it paired?
Should be. Let's see. Oh, you said the Shrek one, right?
Yeah, that one. It is.
I look so serious in it too. Goes into the reggae part.
Shit.
Most definitely me. It's gotta be a loving rush.
This next line is so gross and stupid.
It sounds like you should. When he takes us.
So bad.
I like it. I like it.
It's so dumb.
Did you do one for YMH? Am I? Is that
For your mom's house?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I
No,
didn't
that
do
wasn't
anything for
you.
your mom's house. I fucking love your mom's house though.
Or did you do one over a podcast? Somebody must have that I know did that. I thought it was you.
I would have. I would love to be on, like, even just a shitty clip of me on your mom's house. I would die. Segura is my favorite comedian, and that's like, I've watched most of the lives. I haven't kept up with the last couple, but I don't know if y'all have watched any of those.
Oh,
Your Mom's
I've
House
been a
live.
fan since the first one.
Okay.
I fucked up. I fucked up watching the first one and eating food.
Oh yeah.
I gotta tell the story. It just so happens that I was eating McDonald's, the first YMH live, and this girl she shits on some McDonald's
Yep.
and eats it.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, this is
That'll make
so
you not
ever
wanna
since.
go to McDonald's
So
for
the
a while.
second one they did, they
loving
actually. So the second one they were like, yeah, we're gonna let you know when the gross stuff happens because the first for the
Yeah,
OGs,
they just hit you with it.
for the OGs, we were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It was horrible.
The last one I think I watched was when Rogan did one with them.
That one sucked.
Yeah,
dude.
that one was rough.
The last three have been kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm a fan.
The
I'm
last
a-
one was not good.
No, it's been since Rogan, or they did it live in a theater. Rogan, Bobby Lee, Tim Dillon have not been good.
Really?
They have not been good.
Yeah.
Just playing like old shit, and
Yeah.
Rogan was just being boring as hell.
Yeah. The one that really got me, I think it was the first one. There was, oh, this is so fucking gross. Y'all can edit this out if you want, but there's the two prolapsed anuses.
Oh, dude,
I was like, what the fuck am I looking at?
that is the worst videos.
It's rough.
They were
dude.
like putting it in.
yeah, it's fucked up. It's
It's disgusting.
it's like
You can die.
yeah,
Like,
I'm
you're
sure.
fucking moments
I'm
from
sure.
dying.
I'm fucking sure. It's your
Oh,
intestines outside of your body. It's not good.
Yeah, there's things where I'll just look away and I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
The one that really got it was the last one where all the workplace like accidents.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh man, that really
Oh,
got
that
me.
one was bad.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't even gross, it was just like
Kind
bad.
of tragic.
Yeah, it was just like it was like security footage of like
yeah.
what happens if you don't follow the rules.
And what's
type
funny
of
is
things.
like Tom Segura, like that's the ones he likes. Like that's the ones that he left.
Yeah,
It's
he's
fucked
a
up.
fucking psycho.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Oh, dude, there's
Did y'all see him when he came here?
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's good.
awesome.
It was fucking
awesome.
great.
There
I missed
was
out on that one.
there was. I'm thinking of these videos now. All these memories are popping up. This guy was having sex with a woman from behind, and she had these nasty ass warts.
I remember that one. That's one that you and I
that one.
watched together. Oh
fucking-
my
I don't remember that one.
god.
It was fucking. This might have been like the second or third. It was
Yeah, I don't
fucking
know if I remember that
horrible. The prolapses are horrible.
Yeah.
The shit is horrible. That makes me throw up.
Yeah,
makes
shit.
me-
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it.
There was a fucking one where these two, I'm assuming they were gay dudes, they were uncircumcised, putting their skin on each other's and just like rolling it on it. It was like, I didn't know you could do that, first of all, but I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll still quote that show. Like nobody around me will get up. Like show me you like me, Mark. And,
Oh my God. You go to fucking
Try it
Garth
out.
Brooks.
yeah.
They fucking
Where are
fucked
the
him.
bodies, Garth?
Yeah, they fucked his comment. You go, let's go look through the comments real quick. Go to Garth Brooks' comments. Let's see. Oh God.
It's only a matter of time before he turns them off.
Starting to
too.
think about
I think he
all
already
the
has.
nasty shit
Well,
that
maybe
I just saw. Let's see where the first one pops up.
Oh, no legs.
It's hot. Make sure you're. I'm a blind man.
It's just random shit.
We need
Mark-
answers.
There it
Garth.
is. We need answers, Gar.
It's normal size. It's not that big.
Yeah, they still doing it.
Yeah. For a while, it was like all the
Everything
comments.
was,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Where are the
come.
bodies?
I'm gonna come.
Yeah.
Other celebrities that have turned off their comments. Britney Spears is one of them because
oh, good.
but another one was Tom Hanks. There was a lot of like pedo shit that they were
Yeah.
posted and they turned the shit
That's because
off.
everybody thinks Britney Spears is like dead or something.
Yeah.
But okay, I heard like the most realistic theory on that because like she is obviously not the same. You know what I mean? And ever since she like got off her conservatorship
Holy
and
sh-
like
there
all
was a
that shit
thing.
looks scary. But anyways, they were saying like this woman, she was like a psychiatrist or I don't know what she was, but she was saying like realistically, Britney had to have been like on like lithium pretty much like for so many years, and they were like the effects of lithium on the brain and the body for so long, like you will never be the same.
She's basically dead.
Yeah, no, so she was saying, she was like, people expected for her to get off her conservatorship thinking that was the problem, but she got off her medication. So like, no, like she's not okay because she needed the conservatorship and she needed to be on
prime example, man.
But they're saying like Britney's dead. You know what I mean? Like
you can't recover from that.
Yeah,
she's always posting.
Go to her page. It's really scary.
It's really sad. It's like a little kid stuck in an adult body almost. Like
and
she
she's like
talks like
she's like.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It's 1T.
Is it?
Yeah, dude. You didn't know that?
Like, go to her videos.
Yeah, go to that video when she's
it's
talking.
always this. Like, it's always this spot in her living room. And then she's always posting nudes, too. I don't know if they've been taken off.
But even look at that one with the yellow top.
Down.
Sad, man.
Yeah, she just doesn't look right, you know?
Her face.
Yeah. It's like she's permanently on, you know what I mean? Like she's permanently on stage or something. Like she's been so groomed, you know?
I mean, look at her. Look how she used to look.
Yeah.
And now that I'm here, I think this is a perfect place for me to clear up some crazy rumors I keep hearing about
major
myself.
difference.
Like that I can't
But also, she
perform
was a
without
baby,
lip
but still.
Do y'all know about when she did her concert here in Lubbock?
I don't know if she came here.
Yeah, she came here once. It was probably like 03, 04 maybe.
Didn't she stop after like 2 songs?
She did like 2 songs, and then she goes, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, I can't hear myself, and there are like a few things wrong, so we're gonna have to stop the show." And she walked off stage, and everyone started booing, and that was it.
Holy shit, I would've pissed off.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh man.
Never rescheduled her.
No,
anything.
never.
Wow. I think we'll look back at some point and realize like child stars is like a form of abuse. You know
Oh,
what I
it already
mean?
is like being looked at.
Yeah, it's not good. Like it's not you can't be a normal human and grow up that way, you know? Like I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I saw somebody clip together videos of Justin Bieber. The way they were treating him was like,
Yeah, there's that part of it too, the weird sexualizing.
yeah, they were
of
like
them.
sexualizing him as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it's fucking
Grown ass
creepy.
women trying to kiss him.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's fucking horrible.
That's fucked up. If it was the other way, like a man and a little girl, like everybody would open arms, but you know, it's all fucked because it happens all the way around. But yeah, it's fucked. Yeah.
Well, the people that do make out, like Leo, Ryan Gosling, like they were part of all that, and they still. But who knows what they
Leo's
really
a
are like?
Fucking freak too.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Dude, he
what they're
dates like 20-year-olds
That
and
is
he's like
true.
almost 50s.
Did y'all hear
true.
that like story? He would like put headphones on
During sex.
and have a woman just come and basically please him,
yeah.
and then he wouldn't even really be there.
He has them sign a contract. There's why there's no dirt on him.
Well,
'Cause they
that
can't.
person broke
All
that.
NDAs, yeah.
NDAs expire though.
That is-
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well,
Yeah,
Makes
it's
sense.
fucking dark. I feel like I just came on and we just have only talked about dark shit.
it
Sometimes that
it
just
tends to
happens.
happen.
That's just
I don't know,
how it
maybe my
happens
brain's
sometimes.
warped. I didn't think it was dark.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know. Fuck it, dude. What other comedic podcast do you listen to?
Lately, mostly Rogan, if you call it a comedic podcast, I guess. But
Dude, did you
I love
listen-
Shane Gillis.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
He's the goat.
Matt and Shane's secret podcast.
He
I loved Come Town. They don't. It's not a thing anymore, but that was like my.
Stavros is pretty funny.
Stavi's pretty good. Yeah.
I like vaguely remember Come Down.
It's fucking
They were
gnarly.
like top 10 fucking Patreons in the world, and they
Yeah.
just quit.
Yep.
Adam Friedland's funny.
Yeah, they're all funny
Dude,
as shit.
I was
dude.
actually went back and listened to Joe Rogan with Matt and Shane.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
in
It's
I
good.
literally today listened to
It's
that
good,
episode. Yeah, we drove to fucking Dallas to see Shane, and it was.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was the funniest shit ever.
I had high expectations, and I was like, no, he's the goat.
Yeah.
And he's the fucking goat. And he solidified it that day. I was like, I'm a stan. I fucking love that guy.
I laughed the entire time.
Oh, dude, he's funny, man.
He's talking about moving to Austin.
Really cool.
I'm gonna move my happy ass to Austin in the next like 3 or 4 years because I gotta get down there, man. I want to go to the mothership,
yeah,
dude.
me too, man. I've looked at Kill Tony is sold out until September. I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
But
it sucks. But there's standalone tickets. I might take my happy ass over there and try to get one.
Right. Yeah, just fucking.
But it's a Monday. That's what sucks.
Yeah. So Kill Tony's another one I love. Your Mom's House, Two Bears, all that. I like that whole gang of people, that are kind of around Rogan. I enjoy all their shit.
Same. Because I had a friend who just berated my ass about how shitty Bert was. And I can't listen to Bert no more.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed by Bert now.
Yeah.
I used to think he was the GOAT, but
really? I like
annoying,
him and Secure
dude. What
together,
about him?
but
well, this guy was saying he was unfunny and he's annoying, and then I just it left a bad taste when he said it so many times. Now I can't listen to Bert, dude. I just fuck, he is annoying.
Well, I saw Bert. Well, we all did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But
Yeah.
they look
Awesome.
I don't know. I really wasn't too impressed. By
Really?
it. Yeah,
See a lot
that's
of
just
people
me.
I
said
liked
that.
it. And
That's
you
just
know
me.
what? That was the first time that I was just my ass. I almost got kind of emotional when you start seeing the machine story,
Dude.
just seeing how the uproar.
Oh, yeah.
in
I
that
forgot. That's
fucking
cool.
because I was so
building.
enthralled in
He literally just started off so this one time, and
when I was
everybody
22, I got
fucking
involved
knew.
in Russian mob, and we were like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Fuck!" I
Yeah,
forgot.
it was
I got
literally
chills.
like an encore of a fucking concert. Everybody was like, it was fucking.
Don't get me
quiet.
wrong. The movie comes out, and I'm going to the movie.
yeah,
So, I mean,
absolutely. Same. I feel you. The thing that kills me with Bert, and I enjoy him, but he fucking interrupts so bad.
I can't do it
drives
no more.
me fucking nuts.
Can't do it anymore. Not right now.
He's funny situationally though, like his reactions, just like the Kool-Aid.
I was gonna ask you if there's Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
I really was.
The Kool-Aid clip, like that's fucking great. Like both of their laughs are just so like that whole, that kind of shit. But yeah, I feel you.
There was a very
I love-
in the early stages of this is bad. I'm sorry. There was an early Two Bears. There's actually 2 moments. Tom, I think it was like episode 4. Tom's like, "Will you stop saying the N-word?" That's how they started the fucking fight, and I was laughing so fucking hard at work. My boss was like, "What the fuck?" But there was another moment where Bert was telling the story about this comedian who. I think it came out as fake, but he was talking about how one comedian was gonna have sex with a girl, but they switched him out with another. And he's telling this on the podcast, and Bert's like, "I think you fucking." He started like in his squad. "I think you fucking raped her."
Yeah.
And the way Bert tells it, though, obviously he's a professional comedian. I shouldn't have laughed. But I fucking dude, it's insane how how the way he makes it funny. I'm like, this shouldn't be funny, dude.
It's fucked
But
up.
it's so fucked up. And I'm like, why are you making me laugh at this fucking?
No, but that's why I love Annie Letterman and even
She's
Bobby
great, too.
Lee.
you got to
Bobby Lee,
make
too.
comedy out of
Yeah, I love Tiger Belly, but after they broke up, I haven't really paid attention
No,
to it.
it's not the same. But I do like Bad Friends.
Hey, Bad Friends is good.
Bad
I love
Friends is
Santino.
really good.
I hate Bobby Lee.
Yeah,
I
really?
hate him, man. I hate him. I
God,
can't.
he's so fucking funny to
I
me.
think he's funny,
like a
yeah.
little cockroach.
Do you like Miss Pat?
Yeah, she's funny. Yeah,
But did
Yeah.
you listen to the Rogan with James Fox,
I
the
think I
fucking
did.
UFO guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Big UFO guy.
What do you think about that? Did
fucking
you
nuts.
watch the documentary?
No, I haven't yet. I want to.
I watch
but
it.
I'm a big UFO guy, so
Oh.
I've had I've had one experience at Lake Allen with me and
nice.
Tanner, my brother, and our buddy Kanan. It was like summer between my junior year and senior year. It was like during the day, right? All 4 of us are swimming, we're chilling, smoking weed, and then actually I don't even think we weren't fucked up or anything. It was like it was after late afternoon, and all of a sudden my brother looks up and goes, "What's that?" We all look up and we see this silver circle in the sky, and we all just sit there and watch it for a while, and the cloud goes over it. We never saw it again. I was like, "What the fuck?" And other people that have gone
a
out to
sphere?
Alan Henry have seen shit, yeah, and they've said they've seen stuff, and so weird lights, and so who knows?
At Alan Henry, you said?
Yeah, Lake Allen
We
Henry.
gotta go out there.
Right. So I'm like big into all that shit, but I still don't really know what. I definitely believe in aliens, but I still don't know, like, is it government shit? Is it aliens? Is it both?
Bro,
Might be both.
After that, James Fox.
Yeah, that was pretty. I've heard that story
Holy
about that
In Brazil?
In Brazil, I've
Holy
heard that for years
shit.
in other UFO.
I hope
folklore
it's
and
real.
stuff.
God, I hope they're here.
I've gone deep on that shit, bro. I got all the way to flat Earth, and I was like, oh wait, we got this. Look.
I hope they are real.
Me too.
And then I listened to this. You should listen to it. It's Matt McCusser's brother, War Mode.
Yeah.
They were going in and they were saying there's 3 species of aliens here, all doing different things. And that's kind of what James Fox said in that podcast. He's like, It's probably more than one type of alien here. Look at the different shapes of the. And I'm fucking hoping to God these things are real. I really, after listening to James Fox, I'm like, please be real, man. Please.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to be real so bad, dude.
I've kind of held on to this hope for a long time now that like they show up and then they like show us like, hey, this is how you humans are fucking up. You're fucking up your planet. Your whole society is based on currency. It's fucked. Like you need to take care of each other. I mean, it's a silly fucking utopian wish, but I've always hoped that like, because I imagine if a race of sentient beings is so far advanced that they can travel across galaxies or the universe, they've probably figured out money, debt, poverty, all these man-made things, you know, that we struggle with in our world that fuck up the world, you know, greed, all that shit.
That's what they were saying on War Mode. He's under the belief, and I am too, is if they can get here, then all that bad stuff is not in there. Whatever they're made of. And he was like, maybe once we figure that out, like these asteroid belts will just disappear and let us start traveling. Like he's like, there must be a universal law that like once you figure out all that's bad, you can fucking travel the cosmos.
Right.
But we were talking to what's the guy's name that owns Ralph's?
Doug.
Oh, Dad.
Yeah, we were talking to him last week, and he was like, yeah, but the church doesn't want it to, you know, this and that. And I'm like, shit, if aliens are real, dog, it's gonna make me believe in God more. Honestly, I'm fucking just. This is fucking. He's got to take care of us all, man. Like, who created them?
Right.
You know, that's what we went and saw Ancient Aliens. He was talking about if you can find who created us and then who created them. Eventually, you'll get to the source, and that's creation. And I'm like, man, I think there might be somebody. Maybe it isn't the way God we think of it, but there probably is some mastermind that fucking. I hope fucking aliens are real, dude.
I mean, dude, if you've had
Zeus or Odin,
who gives a fuck? It's got to be somebody.
I mean, I feel like if you've had, some psychedelic experiences, like that's kind of where it points to a little bit, right? Like I don't know if y'all ever fuck with DMT a little bit, but I did a few times, and I had an experience that made me really kind of impacted me spiritually. I'll just tell you real quick. This is like the only time I broke through or whatever, really, like they talk about, but we were smoking it and I was gone. I was just like gone. And it was like I was like outside of this fucking orb, and it was like the most massive thing you could ever imagine. It was like, and in this space, I couldn't talk, I couldn't hear anything, but I knew that like inside of this orb was like the entire universe. And then I like heard this, it wasn't like I audibly heard it, but I heard this message of like, there is no such thing as separation. Everything that ever is, everything that ever could be, every person, every dream, every song, every book, anything, all is one. And that's what this universe is. And then I came out of it. And I was like, what the fuck? Damn. And so that's what I think God is, right?
That's God,
the
man.
universe.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we are all part of this, you know, the universe experiencing itself, you know?
That's what it is.
And there's other sentient life elsewhere that's part of that. And so, yeah.
That's why they're suffering. Because he's experiencing everything. Everything he created. Yeah. That's what I believe.
Christ goes back to everything everywhere all at once again.
Oh, yes, dude.
God.
So when you saw that,
it always happens. It always fucking.
I fucking
What you
bawled
just
like
said
a
about
baby in that
suffering,
movie.
God suffering or whatever.
yeah, he's experiencing his.
That's what happens. One person experiences it all in order to like numb themselves, and they end up feeling everything so much they couldn't even.
The bagel, yeah.
The bagel, the everything bagel.
God, that movie is incredible. I've only watched it once,
have tried to get him, and he
Just
out of spite.
couldn't do it.
Out of spite. Just won't do things people tell me to do.
What a
Man.
poor.
Oh, you haven't
quality
seen
to
it
have.
yet?
No,
Oh, dude, incredible. It's fucking.
I don't even need psychedelics to believe in any of this. You know.
Yeah, this is true.
You know what I mean?
Life is psychedelic.
When you saw that sphere, though,
You need
what'd
to
you
cry
think?
to that movie.
Man, I cry on Rogan. I don't know if I can
Oh,
cry.
Oh, dude,
Jesus
I cried Saturday like hard as fuck. I watched the new Louis Capaldi video. I'm a big dog person. I've had a dog for 10 years. It's my best friend, and I don't know if y'all have seen it yet, but I fucking first thing in the morning I'm watching it in my bed, and I'm like, my girlfriend's asleep, and I'm over here bawling and just like. So I feel
Dude, I saw a Steve Harvey clip where he found his like people that took him in when he was in his God, I'm gonna cry telling it, and he's like, I've been looking for y'all, and he's like, I owe everything because of y'all took me in, and I was like in my bed, I think I was drunk. I was like, look at me now. But I was like, God damn it. Fuck, dude, I don't know.
No, that's good.
It's good to feel. I'm trying to allow myself to feel everything.
Love that.
Sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's part of being human, though, right? I mean, fuck, we can't. Running from it is what will get us in trouble. Feel it. feel it. There's this really interesting concept in AA. Bill Wilson wrote this letter at one point talking about emotional sobriety, where it's like, you know, we can lean into our emotions too much, right? Like we can lean into anger, we can lean into sadness, and that can be bad, right? But there's like a limit there. Like we got to feel everything, but at a certain point, we got to, like, you know, we don't have to wallow in it, right? We don't have to wallow in self-pity or depression or sadness. Like feel everything, but move past it. And I think that's healthy. I think you have to, you know. If somebody tells me they haven't cried in years, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's a sociopath.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like,
So,
yeah, the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, you need to cry, man.
yeah, dude, that's part of life. That's like, you got to feel, you know. And that's like, if you want to like soak in life, if you really want to live it up to the fullest, then you have to feel it all, right? Everything overall.
Excuse me.
Did sobriety help you feel everything? Like,
Yeah.
was it
I was
scary?
running from everything. I was running from everything for years. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to face my shit. I didn't want to be honest with myself or others about where I was, what had happened to me. I mean, the things I felt as a kid or whatever. And so I think I do a pretty good job now of feeling stuff, you know. And it's my job now to like know when to shut it off a little bit. Not to shut, I hate to say shut it off, but know when to like move past it, you know, because I can very easily like, you know, my biggest thing, my biggest character defect is self-pity. You know, when I was in my addiction, I felt so sorry for myself, and I felt like my life was over and I'd lost my chance of any kind of happiness or success. And it wasn't true. And it was just, and really, I'm of the mind, like, have you ever heard the speech, "This is Water" by David Foster Wallace? It's really cool. You should check it out sometime, but it's like 20 minutes long.
Oh,
but
never mind.
yeah, he was an author in the like 80s and 90s. He wrote Infinite Jest, but he talks about this like default setting that we have as humans, where we live our lives through our bodies, experiencing our emotions, having our memories. And so we are wired to a default setting of self, right? We experience everything from a perspective that we are the center of it all, right? And for me, that default setting also looked like self-pity, right? So like, my selfishness was like me feeling sorry for myself, which I was just thinking about self all the time, right? And so I can very easily get back into that if I don't watch it, you know. So I have to be careful of like what I allow myself to feel after too long.
Does working out help you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that comes with like self-pity can also manifest as anxiety, depression, all these other things for me, right? And so getting out of that's like what I have to do. You know, I do that through my work. I do that through working out. I do that through music, you know? And so I think just that idea, that concept of like us being, and I hate, it sounds like everybody's self-centered, like we're selfish. That's not necessarily what it means. It's just that we come from this perspective of self, right? And so, and we don't even realize that. Most people don't even realize that's what we do, right? So trying to get out of that, it's like important, you know, I think. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. There you go, man.
Well,
Shout out to the aliens. Shout out to sobriety. Shout out to you for coming on, man.
yeah, dude, I enjoyed it, man.
Appreciate
It's cool.
it.
I've like seen y'all around forever, but I'm glad to come on and get to know y'all a little bit.
Hell yeah.
I've
dude.
seen you perform twice too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
cool.
saw you at the Art Depot.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was fun. That's a cool little spot. Yeah, we're playing at First Friday Art Trail in June, so we'll be at the Luco. So yeah. Some
Oh,
shit
in
coming
June?
up. Yeah.
This will be out before then, so
Yeah.
people go check it out.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
else can they check out your music?
IndigoTheBand.com, INDEGO, Indigo Band on Instagram, and Loafy 1.0 on Instagram. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff about to be popping off. We're working on our third album is mostly done. We're planning the release of it over the next few months. We're going to kind of put it out as singles and then the full album. And so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out of the Indigo camp. And then Loafy, I pretty much have a song releasing every month for the rest of the year. So a lot of cool shit coming up. So
Where can they get the music?
everywhere you get
Everywhere.
music. Yeah.
Are you on YouTube?
Yeah. YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify, all that jazz. So
And you're also on TikTok
I'm on TikTok, Loafy 1.0.
for the time being before they ban it.
Yeah, right. It's just silly.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
You got any message for the people? One final message for the people out there?
I think just like we kind of focus a lot on the addiction stuff and the recovery part, and I think, and this applies to anybody struggling. Like, man, life is beautiful, and there's so many things to be grateful for, and it comes down to what we choose to put our focus into, right? I spent so many years focusing on like what had happened or what had not happened, or living in fear or feeling sorry for myself. When if I had just taken a second and really, if I'd taken a second and had little bit better of tools that I have now, I could have realized like I still had great things around me. Life still was beautiful. I still had people that love me and care about me. I don't think any person exists without having at least a handful of people that care about them. Even if you got no family, you got coworkers. Even if you don't have coworkers, you got neighbors. People care about you, and it's sometimes it's hard to see that, but I don't think we're in this alone at all. So yeah.
Bradley, anything?
Riley Noel Garcia, stay brown and proud, y'all.
Hella soft.
Follow me at Hella Soft. Follow me at Texas Chainsaw Alchemist. Hell yeah, I need to do some hair. And follow us at Lords of Film with a Z. And if you're trying to do some creative shit this summer, hit me up. Maybe I'll be free.
Patreon.com/Snake Pit Studios, people. We'll see you guys. Thank you.